Hello, everyone. Welcome to a slightly new series here. We're calling it Computational X Live, and it's been stimulated by the launch of our Wolfram Notebook Assistant yesterday. And the idea is to actually try and do live coding of computational X, where X can be anything, any field, archaeology to zoology, and try and see what we can do to make these things computational. So this is more work for me than answering questions purely with words, but we'll see how it goes. So I encourage you to ask about anything that maybe wasn't clear could be made computational. Let's see what Notebook Assistant plus me can do in doing that. And I did a live stream demonstration of Notebook Assistant a couple of days ago, and there were a number of questions that came up there that a number that I did have a chance to address there, others that I didn't have a chance to address there. So I see a few here that I didn't have a chance to address. Let's see, there's one about creating a QR code with multiple color channels. Well, let's see what we can do here. All right, let's share this. And let's say, well, let's just start off with, how do I make a QR code? Let's just ask the Notebook Assistant that, see what it says. It's going to think for a moment. I know the answer to this, so let's see if it knows the answer as well. Okay. Well, let's see. Wow, okay, there's things here I didn't know. So let's see. It just says, make a barcode, your string here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is that really right? You can do that? Okay, let's try it. It is right. I didn't know that. You can make barcodes of different sizes. Wow. Okay, well now, how about making those in color? And I'm not sure how well a barcode will work in color, but we can see what happens. And then we could take, it's still thinking, why is it still thinking? Okay, let's see. To create a colored QR code, all right, here's an example. All right, well, let's see what this does. It's not the way I would have done it, but that's a possibility. Let's try this. Okay, so what it's doing there is it's making the barcode image, then it's making a rectangle of red of the same dimensions as the barcode image. And then it's, so if I change that to pink, for example, here, we'll get something that looks like this. And I don't know why it picked size 100. Let's try size 400 here. Much bigger, better chance of the thing being recognized. Now I'm curious, actually, if we try, let's just resize this. I am curious if we say something like, if we take that, we'll take that, let's just take a screen image here. And let's say, how can I recognize the barcode in that image? And see what it will do here. Because I think the, I don't know whether barcode recognition, okay, barcode recognize function, okay, great. All right, it says that we can take barcode recognize and we can use it. So I think what I should do is just take barcode recognize. Oh, would you like me to perform it? Well, I'm just doing it myself, thank you very much. I'm just going to do barcode recognize that. Okay, so it managed to pull it out. So I'm now curious to see what would happen if we actually went, I think the original prompt here was a human prompt to the human was, can we expand barcodes by having more, by putting more colors in? And I think the answer to that is, well, that's a whole different story to do that. We could try seeing what happens if we, can you put a gradient of color behind a barcode, behind a QR code. So now I think I could make a gradient of color using blend. Let's see whether it comes up with the same solution. Okay, multiply with the gradient. Okay, great. Oh, very good. It's got a gradient there. Wowee. Let's see if this works. All right, let's see what it's doing. It's making a barcode. It's making a gradient image. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy that there, here, and I'm just going to break these apart into separate cells so we can see the individual things it does. Okay, so there's an original QR code, size 400, and now it's going to make this gradient. There it is. And now we're going to say, put the barcode on top of that gradient. Okay, good work. It's a little weird that the gradient that doesn't quite extend to the edge. Now, I am pretty certain that barcode recognize is going to have a hard time with this, but let's give it a try. See what happens. I just don't think there's enough contrast there, but let's see what it can do. Let's say barcode recognize that. Ah, still manages it. Well, you know, I'm sure if I make this darker enough, let's see, I'm sure we can make it fail. Let's just go ahead and take this, and how about I say to this, I say barcode recognize of that, but now let me make a, well, let's progressively darken that image. Here, let's not put the barcode recognize on there. Let's take this image, darker D. I could ask the notebook assistant to do it, but I know exactly what to do myself here, so I can kind of save it the trouble. So there, we're making progressively darker images. Now, it better not be able to recognize it. We know it's cheating if it recognizes the barcode in the last picture there. So let's try barcode recognize here on each of these. And okay, so it made it for the first three, and then by this point there was just so little contrast there. I'm sure if we took that picture, let's ask, how do I increase the contrast for that picture? And we're probably going to be told image adjust, I think. Let's see what it says. Image adjust, there we go. So I know my tech stack here. Okay, oh gosh, it knows that I'm talking about the colored QR code. So I can, well, let's just do it on this image here. So let's just say, let's copy that, put it in here. It's kind of like I'm working with the machine a bit to get this done. Oh, actually, no, there we go. So it's decided to name it high contrast QR code. Let's see what it does. Okay, that's looking good. That indeed did manage to increase the contrast, and I'm sure it will be able to recognize the QR code from this. All right, let's go to another question. Let's see, okay. Jenny is asking, can I fetch price data for NVIDIA, plot it, optimize a moving average crossover? I'm not sure quite what that means, but let's see what we can do. Let's say, make a plot of the NVIDIA stock price over the past year. Let's see what it manages to do there. Actually, I should have said, how do I? Because then it'll just give me code to do it. It might just try and just do it itself here. Yep, it's trying to do it itself. Maybe I should put it out of its misery and just ask it, how would I do that? And then I can be running the code and see the actual code. Well, okay, good work. There we go. Nice stock chart. But then why don't I say show the code? And I like the way that it labels everything. Okay, so let's go use that code. Okay, so let's we can, I don't know quite why it made all those choices, but there's the result. It made choices about what kind of plot theme to use and so on. Okay, so it said financial data NVIDIA today minus, okay, so let's say how can I make a moving average with a slider for the window size? Let's see what it can do with that. So I know what I would do with this, but let's see what it does. Okay. So it's using manipulate. Okay, so first it gets the data, and then it sets up manipulate. Let's see it try and do this. Okay, so it's insert and evaluate. Oh, it did the wrong thing here. Well, let's see whether I can see what it's doing wrong. Oh my gosh, it's generating infinite numbers of messages for some reason. Okay, let's kill that. And generate an infinite number of messages, so that's kind of unfortunate. What is it saying went wrong? Well, let's get rid of the manipulate for a second. Window size 5. Surprising, it looks sensible here. Date list plot NVIDIA data. Huh. Oh, maybe what's wrong is that the thing managed to get the wrong lengths. Well, let's just ask it what went wrong. And it's probably reading a lot of information there about what all those messages were. Let's see what it says. And let's see if I can fix this. If yeah. The error messages indicate data was not properly extracted. Okay, well, let's give it a try again. All right, do I really have the nerve to just try this sight unseen? Let's at least get rid of all those messages. All right, let's just copy that, paste it in here, and let's just have a little look here. Extract the price data. Okay. Why is it putting NVIDIA data there? Well, all right, shall I just try it? I'll just try it. No, stop. It's confused somehow. All right, let's use some human knowledge to unconfuse it. So let's see what's happening here. I think what's happening here is that, well, here, I'm pretty sure we can do this. If I just say, what's happening, I think, is that the moving average, well, maybe it isn't. Might be a different length from the other part of it. Why does it have an NVIDIA data there? Why does it have that to begin with? Let's take a look. Just this thing with a window size of 4, let's say. And then I think that initial NVIDIA data doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know why it has that. Okay, let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Moving average of NVIDIA prices. Oh, well, I think this should just say, okay, let's look at what NVIDIA prices is. NVIDIA prices here. Oh, well, that's not good, is it? That's not good at all. Let's see, where does it say? Okay, I know what it made. I know the mistake it made. I know that if I put in normal there, it will work, he says. But I'm wrong. Okay. Well, this is a case where it might be easier. Okay, so let's look at this. So we're saying NVIDIA prices is this thing. Oh, there we go. There it just had the prices. Okay, fine. So now we could say, take those, and the very minimal thing we can do is, let's see, if I say, where did I have that? Here we go. Let me not confuse myself by having too many of these. There are the prices, and now I could say, I think that's a time series. So that's what's going wrong here, is that this should say normal of that, because we've got to actually get, let's see what happens if I do this. I'm just going to, well, let's just try it. No, didn't work. Okay, let's go back again. I could ask the notebook assistant to say what's wrong, but I have to say I'm pretty sure I can figure this out myself here. So if I take that out and take that out, let's try that. Well, that's not a good sign, is it? Dateless plot of all those dates. And the problem is perhaps that, well, if I just do, say, here, transpose those, I think that has a better chance. Humpty Hump. Well, maybe they're not the same length. And let's try that again. Yeah, are not the same length. Okay. That's what I kind of thought was going to happen, because the moving average can't, unless it reaches over the end, is not going to be able to handle that. So the one thing I can definitely do is to say, is here, I can just say list plot, and I can forget all of those things, and I can just use this, and then I think I have a good chance of this working. Okay, there's the original, and now, oh, I see. It was going to show me both the original and the moving average. So here I can change the window size. Let's change the window size up to 100. And so now I can indeed do that. I can look at the time series with different window sizes. So a little bit of a collaboration between me and the notebook assistant there, but the end result is we get to look at that. Now, if we want to figure out what some characteristic of this, well, that would be a different thing. I'm not quite sure how to do that. Let's see. Another question here. Let's see. Elsie is asking for a real-world use case, like working through a resource scheduling exercise or simple multivariate optimization. Well, let's say, let's give it a new chat here. What will be a good multivariate optimization? Let's see. Well, show me a multivariate optimization. Let's just give it something completely open-ended like that. And see what it does. No idea. Okay. Suppose we want to maximize. All right, let's take a look at this function. It's saying max value of 3x plus 2x plus 3y minus z with these constraints with respect to x, y, and z. So I guess that's a multivariate optimization. It has 3 variables. So let's say make an interactive version. So I'm being kind of vague here, but let's see what it does. Let's see whether it can produce, let's say, manipulate with that. And then we might ask it for a graphical version. Okay. Great. All right. So let's take a look at this. So let's say, well, this is not super exciting, but there, I'm changing the values here. Oh, look, B doesn't seem to matter. Maybe it doesn't matter unless, oh, look, it went to minus infinity there. All right. Let's say make a graphical version of that. Okay, let's see what happens. Bad sign that there's something in red there. But let's see. Why is that in red? That's not a good sign. Region function is not an option to region plot 3D. Let's just, well, let's try copying that over and see what happens here. Let's see. Well, let's get rid of that for a moment, and let's see what happens. Let's put that aside here. And let's see, region plot 3D is, well, let's take a look what it does. Okay, region of constraints, what's happening? All right, when in doubt, actually look at what it's doing. So it's saying region plot 3D, oh, that's just going to be a point, isn't it? That thing equals C. Let's just try that thing greater than C, for example. There we go. Now we've got, okay, let's move down the value of C, okay. Move down the value of C, let's mess around with one of these values. Oops, I lost it. There's nothing there. There's nothing that satisfies the constraints. Well, this is not my fault. This is a math problem. That there's nothing. Okay, well, let's just see. Let's see if it can. I don't think it can see what the values that have been set there are, but let's try. Let's see. How about a 2D version, 2-variable version? Let's see. All right, let's try and look at this. All right, let's try it. Okay, let's look at the code first. Region plot of this thing, this set of criteria, and we're just going to change the parameters there, and we'll see how the region of constraints changes. Oh, no. Okay, look at that. That's cool. I guess that's kind of cool. Right, so we can see those as we change the constraints, we can see the shape of the region that satisfies those constraints changing. Now, I don't know quite how to do a resource scheduling exercise. Well, you can just ask it, I guess. Show an example of a resource scheduling exercise. I mean, that's kind of asking it, shot in the dark, what to do. But let's see what it does. Okay. Well, that was not so totally stupid. Not perhaps what we had in mind, but what it's telling us here is, here's an example of running a scheduled task. So it thought we were talking about scheduling tasks for it to run. So this exercise demonstrates how to use scheduled tasks in Wolfram Language. So this is saying run a scheduled task, print date string every 30 seconds, I guess. Okay, that wasn't quite what we had in mind, but that's fun anyway. All right, Shoshwat asks, what are my thoughts on computational psychology? Well, I could talk about that in general, and I could talk about kind of, I mean, I have to say, as a general matter, that this is a very interesting moment for psychology, because we have the example of neural nets and LLMs and so on, where things are happening that are very similar to human psychology, but we get to kind of look inside and see what's going on. And the big challenge is, can we find sort of a description of what's going on that is beyond just saying, this is what this particular neuron does? So let's just ask the notebook assistant for fun. uh, how can I do computational psychology? I don't know what it's going to say here. It's and then maybe we can try something with an actual neural net and see whether we can have it show us. Okay, great. It says do data analysis, model cognitive tasks. Oh, wow. Actually, this is rather impressive. All right, let's actually look at what it said. Do data analysis with things like dateless plot and linear model fit. Yes, that's what a lot of people in experimental psychology would in cognitive science would actually do. Model cognitive tasks, use entities like cognitive tasks to interpret and analyze cognitive tasks. Now, let me remind myself what this actually is. Let me see. I had forgotten that even exists in Wolfram Language. That is an interpreter type for cognitive tasks. So this is a thing where you can say, okay, well, let's actually, this is I didn't remember that existed. So let's make an entity list of cognitive tasks, and let's see the various kinds of, wow, what is this for? Why do we have this? The cat-bat task. What is the cat-bat task? Let's ask it, let's just say, wow, look at all these things. What are these things for? Why do we have this? I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting. All right, let's see what we can look at if we say, what's a kind of data set of information that we have about the cat-bat task? Okay, participants are asked to fill in missing letters in a written short story. The first half describes, well, actually, let me just look at the definition here. First half describes contexts in which C would be the most appropriate to complete AT, while the second half describes ones where B is the most appropriate. Okay, that's interesting. Now, I wonder whether we actually know things about the fMRI correlates of these tasks. I'm not sure. Let's see. I mean, I don't know what I can't even imagine what the Tower of London task is. Let's see. Participant must arrange a set of rearrange a set of 3 colored balls arranged on pegs in the fewest possible moves to match a specified configuration. Okay, so it's a little bit like Towers of Hanoi, but not quite. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Use machine learning functions like classify to predict and model cognitive behaviors. It's a good one. Actually, this is a pretty good list. Stimulating psychological processes. Use cellular automaton and Turing machine for simple models of decision-making or other cognitive processes. Explore substitution system for modeling sequential behavioral thought processes. Natural language processing. Analyze text data from psychological studies using text cases, text structure, text sentiment. Computational essays. Document and share your research using the computational essay template. Actually, this is really quite good. I'm impressed. It will have picked up a lot of stuff that we've written, I've written, and so on about these questions. But maybe let's ask it, show a sentiment example. And let's see what it produces. Okay, well, that's not too exciting, but all right, let's see what it does in this case. All right, so let's insert and evaluate that. So classify with sentiments, I'm so sad, my phone broke again, I love this movie. So it went negative, negative, positive. Okay, that's a good sign. Now it's asking, classify with probabilities. There's nothing good about the fellas in this movie. So that gives its probabilities for positive, neutral, and negative sentiment. That's Wolfram Language result for that. All right, let's try, that did rather well. Let's try a new chat, a new task. Okay, let's say, can you, well, actually, let's just copy what I have here. Let's see what it does if I just say this. Let's see what happens. Think, think, think. Okay. Yeah, make a 2D model. Just ask for that. Let's not be too ambitious here. And then let's see what it does. I don't know what it's going to do here. And we certainly have the data to do this in Wolfram Language. So, oh, come on. That is a wimp out, but let's do it anyway. That is a deep wimp out. That's not realistic. Show the planets in their current configuration. So now it's going to have to ask for the astro positions of all the planets. Let's see whether it knows how to do that. Okay, it's trying to do it itself, which I prefer it not to do, actually. I should have just said, show me how to, because it's going to grind away and it's going to be unclear whether it, what it's producing here. Yeah, that's some, I mean, it tried something probably overly ambitious and it's discovering that didn't work. And so now it's going to try again. Okay. Well, I know that the right answer is to use astro position, but let's see whether it figures that out. Okay, maybe I should give it a hint. If this doesn't work, I'm going to give it a hint. Come on. Well, I don't know what you're trying. No, that's a silly approach. All right, I think we'll let's try again. Let's say how can I get the current positions of the planets? So we have to help a little bit here because I think it was trying to be too ambitious. Eventually its ambitions will be met, probably. Okay, here we go. Let's see what this does. All right. Let us try. Okay, so now what is this doing? This is getting all the planet entities. And now, I don't know why it puts a semicolon at the end, so I can't even see it. Let's show it the planets here. There they go. And now let's see what happens if I do this. Okay, so that's showing a bunch of astro positions. So now if I say astrographics of that, aha, okay. So, okay, there they go. So there are the planets, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, etc. Conveniently, they're on the plane of the ecliptic. But let me say, show me a view of the sky from Timbuktu. It might be nighttime there. With the planets highlighted. Let's see whether it can do that. And then we could ask it, so this particular thing here, well, let's see what happens. Interesting. It's trying to put markers there, which it may not be able to do. But let's see whether we can at least get the basics to work here. So this is showing us, okay, from the entity City Timbuktu Mali, I don't know if that's, let's see if that works. Interesting, that did not like it. Let's just see whether that, Aha. I think what needs to happen here, I think what, if we just say this, oh my gosh, what's going on here? What is happening? I think I might be running, what version am I running? Let me see, I'm running the very latest and greatest version, which is not yet released. So I may be running across something. Let me just see what happens if I just type some very basic thing in there. That's interesting. Why did it not like, oh, there we go, worked fine. All right, so I think I need to use that because somehow it got confused. I know it's going to get less confused about these things soon. I wonder whether that's enough or whether I have to say where, well, let's try this. Or whether that's going to try and 180 degrees is not a valid geo-range specification. Well, it's confused because I'm telling it to show, well, let's see. Let's just say what went wrong. It says this sets Timbuktu as the observation location. Maybe that's right. I don't know. But let's try this. Well, it's pretty insistent that it can do this. Okay. Let's copy that. And then I'm going to use this instead, but I just don't think that's right. Don't think it works that way, but we'll see. 180 degrees is not a valid horizon specification. I wonder whether we can, why is that? Is that, oh, because it needs to be an actual interpreted thing. All right, there we go. Although that's not as useful as I would have liked because this is showing the sky. It's showing kind of a planetarium dome of the sky rather than what you would see just on the surface of the Earth. Well, let's try a few other things here. Let's see. Looking for other things here. How about a web app that takes video as input, checks every frame for book pages, pages of text, builds a database organized by the guest artifact. Okay, well, let's see what we can do here. Let's see. Not sure how I'm going to get a sample video, but let's just paste that in and see what it says. I think this is it's a pretty big ask, but let's see what it can do with that. I mean, this is something we can absolutely do with Wolfram Language. Whether it can do it in one step, tell us how to do it, I'm not sure. Okay, so video input and processing, right? So you can use the video objects for that. Text detection, you can use text recognize, it's right. Artifact identification, I see, it's not sure how to do that. Web interface, you can use cloud deploy, okay. Okay, it's gonna try its best to do this. Let's copy that. Now we need a video here. I wonder whether we can capture a video or whether that is hopeless. Let me see. The reason I think I might not be able to do it is because I need to know what video capture device I'm using. This might use a let's see. This may use completely the wrong camera, or it may fail altogether because I'm not sure it can share the camera with Zoom. Now let's try this. This is not looking good. Oh, there I am. Okay, cool. All right, so now we need a book. Well, let me see, what can we pick up here? Let's see, I need a book. What's a convenient book? How about this book here? A convenient book about mathematics by yours truly. Okay, let's see if we can capture a, how am I going to do this? Can I flip through the pages here? Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's pick a, I don't know what it's going to make of these things, but let's see what we can do. Okay, we live dangerously here. Let's try it. Okay, capturing some video. Another page. Another page. Let's try one more page here. Okay, we've captured some pages. All right. Let's try. Okay, so that's video capture. So let's say vid equals that video. Vid equals the video there. And just for my purposes, I will say something like video frame list of that video, just see roughly what's there. Oops, I need to say how many frames I want. Let's say I want 10 frames from that video. Then extracting video frames. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there are some pages from that book now, but let's say this says get a path to the video. Okay, so let's copy this and let's see what we can do. You know, I have to say a lot of what's going on here, honestly, if I just was doing it myself, it would be, for me at least, it will be probably, he says, ambitiously a little bit faster than doing it by getting advice. But it's actually useful to get the advice. Okay, so let me put my, whoops, what did I do here? I called it vid. Let me put my video there. And this is going to take forever to do text recognize on all the frames, I think. But let's see what it can do. I think this is going to be challenging because it's going to video map. Oh, we should have said on this, we should have said hash image, I think, because it's getting at every step, it's getting an association, applying text recognize to video frame. Oh, I see. So because what this is doing is it's trying to get a video from the video, so to speak. So I think what we need here is something like what do we need here? Well, let's ask the notebook assistant. How do I apply text recognize to each frame of a video, getting back words? You know, I think this is a bad idea because it's going to end up with an absurd number of frames in the video. We should instead have done something where we say, well, okay, let's see what happens. Video map, yeah, well, great. No. I see, okay. Let's try a plan B. Let's try on this here, let's try and do text recognize here. See whether it can see anything. It probably is not high enough resolution in these pictures to see anything, but let's try it. Line 82. So let's say text recognize, and I feel like I'm going to do this in parallel on multiple machines just for fun. Parallel map, text recognize across %82. That was that list of videos. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's got to launch my various separate machines to be able to do all those things in parallel. This may not, in fact, be a win because it may take longer to move the data over. I probably should say, okay, some of my machines are not responding as in a good way. Oh, wow! Look at that. I am impressed. So from these really cruddy images from this video, it did manage to actually extract text. So I mean, it's not perfect, but it extracted some text. Okay, it thought there's some Russian there. I don't think there's any Russian in my book, but anyway. And let's say on these, let's well, this is suggesting a cloud deploy, but let's just get what can we do here? We could just get the words out of this. Let's say text words on each of those. Okay, so that's now words. And now we might want to just say, how about we do this? How about we say, I'm going to say, which of the words in that, which of the words in that list are actually English words? I think I know how to do this. I think I would use dictionary lookup, but let's see what it says. Grind. Oh, dictionary lookup. That's what I would have done. Yes, I agree. All right, let's see whether I can do that. Well, select words by frame, fine, but we didn't fill it in as named that, so we have to put in something different there. All right, so let's put in English words. Let's do this. Let's do that, the most recent thing. What do you mean the dictionary is not available? What is it talking about? Finds all words. What on earth is that talking about? I mean, this could be a problem with the version that I'm using right now, but let's just see. Dictionary lookup of quotes fish. Happily says fish. Let's try meta here. I am confused. Oh, I know what the problem is. I know what the problem is. This is a list of lists. Well, I could have asked the notebook assistant. I'm going to ask the notebook assistant what went wrong here. Because I made a mistake. Let's see whether it knows what went wrong. I should have flattened out the list of words. Yeah, you see. Oh, look at that. You can use flatten if needed to convert nested lists of words into a single list. You are right. Oh my gosh. I am impressed. That's exactly what I was going to do. Put flatten in there. So it told me to do that. So I will just do that. And then if it wouldn't put semicolons at the end of every line, there it is. So now these are the actual words. And I could, for example, make a, well, I could make a word cloud out of these. And rather boringly, it has A and B. Let's say, how do I get rid of stop words? So words that are so common that it's not really worth including them. Okay. Oh, yes, right. I forgot about the function delete stop words. Okay. Good suggestion. Use it to delete stop words in each frame. Okay, well, fine. We can just put that. We can say, just here, actually, we could say delete stop words of, see, one thing that I find really useful here is, you know, if I was doing things with text all the time, I would probably remember delete stop words, but I didn't immediately remember that function. But now it was very useful in it telling me that that was the word to use. Now what I'm seeing there is something where, so what I really should do is to do that for each of the pages here. So what I've got here on line 86 is I've got, so let's ask it to do that. Make a similar word cloud for each of the sublists in line 86, so that it knows what to do there. It may not know what I mean by line 86, but let's see. Oh, yes. Okay, well, I said similar, but so it just is doing that for words by frame, but we can do that. I don't think we define words by frame, but let's do it. That was line 86. Let's call that words. What is it trying to call it? Words by frame. There's line 86. And let's now say, you know what? Put in the stuff to check the dictionary and remove stop words, so that it understands what I mean. If I was like talking to a person, you know, writing this program, they probably would understand what I'm talking about. So let's see whether it understands what I'm talking about. Okay. So this is saying, well, let's try it. Okay. It's giving me an explanation. Filter dictionary words. All right, let's give this a try. Let's copy that, do this. Oh, well. Oh, I said word by frame. I should have said words by frame. All right, let's just live dangerously and let's just try doing this. That is very weird. I wonder why on earth something like that would be happening. And why it put a semicolon, and I have no idea. But oh, it did that. Okay, so this is actually really cool because this is basically very close to what was asked for, because what this is doing is it's showing for different frames in that original video, it's showing the popular words that were being seen on that page. So, for example, here, you know, we're going molecular dynamics, mathematics. Here we're dealing with commutativity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm fairly impressed. I mean, so clearly we can package all of this up into the originally requested web app, but we've got the elements here, and it's clear we can do this computationally, and the Notebook Assistant helped us get there. Okay, let's see. Lauren asks, can it help create a usable quiz I can use for my students? Well, tell me what kind of students you have. Let's see what happens. Let's say, how can I generate a quiz about adding fractions? So let's see what it does here. I mean, if I was doing this, I would think about, well, let's get random numbers and let's, what on earth is this? Okay. My gosh. Well, that's good. I was not going to be as ambitious as to use question generator, but that's pretty interesting. All right, let's give this a try. And it now has an assessment function. Wow. Wow, that's pretty sophisticated. Let's see what it does. Okay, so what this is doing is it's generating a question with random numerator and denominator, and it is making a question object. Well, all right, let's live dangerously. Let's see what this does. Okay, question generator. Now let's actually generate that. I am seriously impressed here. Let's see if it works. Let's see if I can do it. Help. Let's see. That's over 40. So that's like 5 plus 8 over 40, which would be 13 over 40. Am I right? Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh. Are you serious? Well, that's why I've spent my life building computational tools for doing these things. Hey, I'm going to complain. wait a minute. Well, something went wrong with, but I think it's incredibly impressive that it was able to produce these this kind of interface here. And now we can deploy this to the web. Actually, let's ask it. Well, it says here, okay, randomly generates the numerators and denominators for two fractions, creates a question asking user to add them, uses assessment function to check if the answer is right. Something has gone wrong with its assessment function, because what it's doing somehow, numerator equals this. I don't quite understand why that would be wrong. Why does it say toString here? That toString looks very suspicious to me. I am going to try removing it. This is always a dangerous thing to do. It's like the famous story, many famous stories about let's remove the safety thing here. All right, let's see what happens. Well, now I need to, let's try it again, but now I'm going to, oh gosh, that's too difficult. 97/18. Still doesn't like it. Well, I think we're going to have to figure out, let's see. Why? Oh, the default distance function. Oh, I see what's wrong. It's not, one of them is a string. So let's just say what went wrong. But I mean, the fact is, we are already, 30 minutes ahead by the fact that we know how to set up random integers and question interfaces and all that kind of thing. We've got a little bit of debugging to do here, but we've basically got the basic structure that we need. Okay, let's look at the code snippet. The primary issue is how assessment function is defined. The assessment function should map the correct answer to a score. Oh, so I didn't know what I was doing. All right, let's see whether this works better. In this version, assessment function directly uses the result of together without converting it to a string. All right, let's give this a try. Let's just run it. Okay, it's really terrible that I have to cheat here because I can't do these. Actually, I can do that one. I know 7 times 8 is 56. I learned that when I was 6 or 7 years old. It was the one of those kinds of calculations that other kids never knew. So it was always the one to know. All right. Okay, something is still wrong there. All right, well, so some debugging is required. We can probably get the notebook assistant to help us, but I'm super impressed that actually, let's ask it, how can I deploy that to the web? I mean, the thing that's impressive about this for me is this is diving into an area of Wolfram Language functionality, namely our question and assessment framework that is its own kind of separate area that one might or might not know about. Let's see what happens here. What is this doing? Well, let's just try this. Let's live dangerously and try actually running all the code here, and certain evaluate. Okay, all right, let's see what happens. Well, that's a little weird. It's asking for a question there. Okay. Really? What do I say here? Well, I'll say hello. I don't think this is quite right. Something has gone wrong here. Okay. So it deployed it to the web, but it didn't quite deploy the right thing to the web. So we have to go and debug that a bit. And I'm sure it could, yeah, I can see what it's done wrong. It should have just deployed this whole thing here. I suspect I could have just said, I bet I can just say cloud publish of Gen, and it will just work. The good, maybe. Let's see what happens if I do that. Well, no. All right. Well, I need to ask it. I'll need to ask okay. Let's just say, I wonder whether this works. Show me, well, let's say, show me documentation about deploying questions to the web, because I think I kind of might need to read a little bit more about what's going on. Let's see if it can do that. I don't know if it can do that. Might have a way to get to. It certainly read that documentation. So, okay, for deploying, you can refer to the following documentation resources. Deploy a web page to the Wolfram Cloud, question generator. Oh, wow. Okay, well, so I click that and fine, it's going to show me that documentation. Good thing. All right, let's go on here. We're being asked here, lots of questions here. Holy asks, create a timeline for the age of dinosaurs. Let's take a look at what we can do with that. No idea what we can do, but let's give it a try. See what it does. I think we know about historical, we know about dinosaurs, we know about when they lived, but let's take a look at what it thinks to do. Okay. Well, gosh, let's see what this does to begin with. Okay, Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, that's nice, but geological period chronology chart, I wonder what that does. Let's look at its documentation. Huh. Well, who knew? I didn't know that existed. That's in the function repository. And, oh, wow. Okay, I see. So I'm surprised it didn't work then. Maybe it needed another parameter here. Let's give it a 2 there. Maybe it only does it one at a time. Maybe that's all it can do. And this guess that it could be generalized. Let's try the Triassic period. And but already we're way ahead, because I did not remember that this thing existed at all. So let's see what it's going to do. Why is it taking forever? Doesn't seem that. Oh, there we go. All right. Mesozoic, Triassic, and the profoundly named early Triassic, middle Triassic, and late Triassic. But let's say make a timeline for specific dinosaur species. I think this is about to get easier, because I know that we'll be working on some kinds of unification of different, well, let's see. It's a great dinosaur. Well, that's nice, but let's see what it does. Okay, let's copy this. And I wonder whether that's right. Let's see. Oh, yes, that is indeed a Tyrannosaurus. Well, fair enough. Let's see whether those are... Okay, so let's try and take a look. Oops. Okay, that's not a very useful thing for it to have done. I mean, it says when these exist, but let's just try making a timeline plot. Of %117. Oh no, that's a timeline plot from the 1900s to 2025. I'm sure it knows when. I think we can make timeline plots. Let's just try making, just for fun. Let's make let's just say last /at %117. That's going to give us a list of periods, and let's just say timeline plot of that. Can it do that? Yes. Okay. It's got years marked, but they're pretty long ago here. But now what we should be able to do is let's ask something like, show me how to find when a dinosaur lived. Because I think there's probably a property of dinosaur entities that is when they lived, so to speak. It's kind of funny that the timeline chart doesn't really bat an eye to dealing with things that were kind of long ago. Okay, here we go. Look at that. Very nice. So this claims, let's just see if it's true, that we can, yeah, look at that. Okay, so let's go take a random entity and let's go random dinosaur. When in doubt, pick a 10 random dinosaurs. And now we could say for those, we can say, again, I could get the notebook assistant to help me, but I know what to do myself now. And I can get the periods. One of them wasn't available. Okay, so now let's try saying timeline. Well, actually, let's do this. Let's make a date histogram of that. Oops, I think we might need to say, let's say flatten, percent 125. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Well, we say timeline plot. Okay. Oh, I see. So there's a span of time here for the early Cretaceous, late Cretaceous, etc. What I was thinking we were going to get with a date histogram is, okay, let's just say pick 100 random dinosaurs and make a date histogram of when they lived. See what it can do with that. It can, oh, I don't like it when it tries to do it itself. I kind of, maybe we should make it really, well, maybe for some, if I was asking simpler things, it would be more plausible for it to just do it itself. But I feel like for these more complicated things, it's much easier if I can kind of see what it's doing and you can read the Wolfram Language code. Okay, well, that wasn't very exciting. So it didn't manage to do that correctly there. Let's see what it did. Okay, so it's making a date histogram of a data object and so on, but for some reason it goofed it up. But it's clear we have what we need to be able to do that. It's just a question of wrangling it a bit. Let's see. Asking for, well, all right, let's just try something absurdly difficult. Brady is asking for something here. Let's give it a try. I'm just going to paste what he says into chat, and I'm going to feed it to the notebook assistant. Run a simulation of 40 actors trading 8 commodities, showing the emergence of a medium exchange. All right, let's see whether it has a hope of doing this. I mean, I think I could do this, but I think it would take me 15 minutes to get something set up. But let's see what it does. It's amusing that it's trying to do something here. I mean, I give it a lot of points for trying. It seems really difficult to get something that will work here, but let's give it a try. Let's see what it's done. So let's copy that and let's minimize that for now. And let's paste this in. All right, let's take a little look at what it's trying to do. So let's break those apart. Okay, so first it's picking the number of actors, 40, the number of commodities, 8. Okay, great. Let's let it do that. That's fine. Random inventory. So it's saying that is defining a random integer and define this table of the inventory for each actor. Utility function to simulate a trade between actors. All right. Really? Okay. Number of steps, 1,000. Well, I wonder what it's doing here. Select, I'm not going to do a do, I'm going to do a table here because I want to see what it did. Let's see what it did here. So let's run this. And that's not a good sign. So what it's doing though, I mean, again, it gives us an idea of what to do. This is the important thing. It's making this random sample of commodities, select random commodities to trade, reasonable idea. The amount of the trade is the min of actor one. What is actor one anyway? Okay, we're trading actor one and actor two. So here, select two random actors to trade. Okay. How can this work? Let's see. Oh, I see. It's very confused because what it's doing here is it's just passing a list, I think, for what actor one is. Trade here. Well, that didn't quite work. But the thing that is really pretty interesting about this is even though it didn't quite work, it does give us a way to get started. I mean, this isn't quite right, and we're going to have to futz around a bit with it. But let's just take a look at how it describes it. Initialize a market with 40 actors, each having a random inventory. Simulates trading between randomly selected pairs of actors over a number of time steps and tracks which commodity is traded the most, indicating its emergence as a medium of exchange. Well, I'm not totally convinced by that, but it's an interesting idea. You know what? I want to get this to work. So I think when we have the list of actors here, yeah, that's just how much of each commodity they have. And so here, this really has to be some kind of map at. Let's say fix the trade function. And well, I'm still not sure it got it quite right. We can try running this again. I'm not optimistic. Let's try running it. Yeah, it's making the same mistake again. We're going to have to help it and tell it it's confused about what, I mean, kind of what the underlying object here is. It doesn't understand that this is a symbolic object. It's confused about what it is. But I consider this a significant start. I mean, I wouldn't have known, it would have taken me some time to think through how to even start such a simulation. This is a very reasonable start. Let's see. RBS, how are bit patterns generated in Rule 54 with one active cell related to the outputs of the Collatz conjecture? All right, I mean, this is just sort of cruelty to a poor little system that's a big pile of technology built on top of and around LLMs and so on with our Wolfram Language technology stack. And I think it's unfair to ask it in one shot to solve a problem that well, okay. It's just yakking about those problems. Show me a computation. Let's push it a bit. No, I would like to see a specific example, but let's take a look here, what it does. So, oh, again, I really wish it would just show me what to do, not try and do it itself. I'm just skeptical. All right, let's see. That is a true mystery, how it ends up with a red button there. That's almost like the thing has escaped from its harness and is running around the countryside on its own. Don't know how on earth it gets that there. But anyway, this is, so what it's got here, I guess, is it's evaluated. You know what? I'm just going to say, show me the code. That's really remarkable that it manages to, that it produces that kind of thing here. Totally weird. Oh, I know what it's doing. It's actually writing a piece of chat notebook inside this side notebook. Wow, that's wild. I didn't know it could do that. That's a little bit from a, what exactly is going on here, and is the thing going out of control? Well, okay, here we go. This is nice. This is generating first 10 steps of this. This is generating a Collatz conjecture. That's nice, and it's at least able to compare them. Okay, let's take a look. There are many questions here, so I'm going to have to look down the list and pick a few here. There's a question about galactic rotation. I mean, we can try that, but I think it's not going to know enough to know that. I'm gonna try just because it might surprise me. I mean, this is one of the things about the notebook assistant is I try stuff and it sometimes surprises me. I mean, this seems hopeless. This requires, yeah. Okay, it's going to yak about things it's read from different places. The answer is yes, I would like to see that. Let's see whether it has any hope of doing anything reasonable here. If this works, I'm going to be amazed. Well, let's give it a try. Why not? Okay, what on earth is it doing here? The total mass of the galaxy and solar masses. That sounds a bit high to me. I would have thought it was on the order of 10 to the 11th, but anyway, let's just say mass of our galaxy. It's 2 times 10 to the 12. Wow. Okay. So the mass is why that's pink, I have no idea. Okay, so that says 2 times 10 to the 12. It says 1.5 times 10 to the 12. I have no idea. Maybe that pink is because it's some range or something. Okay. Now this is disk mass density, exponential, halo mass density, 1 over r. That's interesting. It's an interesting claim. Rotation speed given in this way, and this is now plotting the rotation speed. Now, I guess what we would do here is to change. This is actually remarkable. This is really not bad. We probably should be solving. Maybe this is the solution of essentially Laplace's equation for a sphere. It's not quite a sphere, so I don't know exactly how that works. But this doesn't seem crazy. So let's say make an interactive version. I mean, the thing that, again, is interesting about this is, well, let's see what it does for the interactive version. Who knows what this is doing? There we go. Wow, okay. So halo radius, well, that's not very exciting. That's not an exciting change. Okay, well, whatever. It's but we're off and running here. That's the important thing. Let's see. Nightmare comments. I recommend adding a voice capture feature. Yeah, a number of people have suggested that. We have had a version of that working internally. I think we should try it. I might even use it myself. I just don't know what it's going to feel like when you're talking to it. And I guess, I mean, a lot of the things I'm typing here, I really didn't need to type. Make an interactive version. I could just hold a button, say it, and that would be probably, and then it will make it will transcribe that, put it in here, and then I'm just saving myself typing, because when you're typing code, it's very hard to dictate. We don't know a good spoken version of Wolfram Language. I've thought about that for a number of years, haven't really come up with anything. But when it's pure sort of natural language, and you can use, you don't have to use English here, but whatever natural language, human language you're using, you can use that. That's a reasonable place to use voice, I think. Let's see. I'm just looking at these other comments, and I think we have to wrap soon. RBS asks, does Wolfram Language have a function to reconstruct corrupted text in its most probable original form? You know, that's an interesting question. I mean, let's wimp out and ask the notebook assistant what it says about that. I mean, I have a couple of ideas about that, but I think, you know, I would think that LLM function would be the best. I mean, we have had a function for a long time, sequence predict. Let's see what the notebook assistant says. Well, that's a bit lame. Okay, it's not completely stupid. It's saying you can use Huffman decode to decode Huffman encoded message, but that's kind of a very special case. And then it says you can use salvage notebook to recover valid cells from a corrupted notebook. So not completely silly, but I would say a text string with some letters modified. See whether it can have an idea about that. Oh yeah, spell checking, that's a good idea. These are good ideas. Markov models, you can build a Markov model. Yeah, that's a good idea. Those are all pretty good ideas. Although I think one could do something more sophisticated by using one of the models in our neural net repository, I would suspect. I think that the notebook assistant does not yet know about the neural net repository, although it will very soon. Let's see. There was a comment here about, just look here. Can it show constellations? I would guess the answer is yes, because it has access to Wolfram Language. It has an easy time with that. I mean, it's all based on Wolfram Language, so it has an easy time with things that are as directly defined in Wolfram Language as that. Somebody had made a comment, about perhaps it should have an avatar. Where is that comment? That was a nice comment. Oh, here we go. Nightmare comments. A suggestion. Wolfram Assistant, to make it more relatable, add a tiny avatar at the bottom, an adorable one. Yeah, well, if we're going to do that, it's got to be a wolf. And we have all sorts of wolf imagery that we've produced. I have to say, I think that those kinds of avatars, the Clippy the paperclip, gave those things a bad name. Although it wasn't a bad idea, it's just a bit too early. I do think that I sort of realized this recently. This is a kind of silly thing to say, but I'll say it anyway. The thing that and I'm going to stop sharing here, but the about Clippy the helpful paperclip. You know, there came to be this scenario when people think about the future of AI and the relationship between AI and humans and so on, the paperclip maximizer scenario where AIs are asked to make paperclips and they decide to optimize the making of paperclips and turn, like Croesus turning everything to gold, they turn everything in the world to paperclips, including all the humans. And I did realize that there's a certain irony there, because Clippy the paperclip was kind of that's at least a virtual paperclip. And in a sense, as AIs cover the world, it's as if we have virtual paperclips covering the world, even without any factories churning out metal paperclips and so on. Okay, that was silly, but I just had noticed that a few days ago and have to mention it. One of the things that I think is really exciting about Notebook Assistant is the way that it provides this on-ramp for people to start getting involved with computational language, with Wolfram Language, and so on, even though they don't really know anything about how to use it. It gives them this way to get started. Now, the things we were doing today, many of them were very, very ambitious. Sometimes it really nailed it. Sometimes it just got us started. If we were a little bit less ambitious, it would have nailed it much more of the time. But even at the level of ambition we have, the fact that it gets us on the right track, there are pieces that we can immediately use. It's not like, oh, there's a blank screen, what do I do? I'm trying to do computational archaeology, how do I start? I'm trying to learn about multivariate optimization or something, where do I start? It gets you started. And for me, that's really a big thing. And it's the thing which is something that I think is very important in the world, actually. I will say that for people like me who are pretty expert, I hope, in using Wolfram Language, the thing that, again, we saw today, a whole bunch, is, yes, I know the things that I use a lot, but I forget functions like delete stop words, for example, even though I designed that function years ago. And if I really thought about it, I'd probably remember that it existed. But the Notebook Assistant just surfaces that effortlessly for me, and it lets me make deeper, sort of broader use of Wolfram Language. But as I say, the thing that I think is really interesting here is it lets people who really are not experienced with computational thinking, not experienced with Wolfram Language, it gets them started. It gets them over the hump of what do I do? How do I start? If you subscribe to Notebook Assistant, and we just opened up Notebook Assistant, we just launched it 2 days ago, so now you can just go on the web and in fact, if you have a version of Wolfram Language or Mathematica or anything powered by Wolfram Language, it has on notebooks. The desktop notebook version has in the toolbar, it has those buttons for doing Notebook Assistant things. Click any of those, it will say start your subscription and lets you get into using this. If you get a subscription now, I don't know what all the details of this are. I'm afraid I'm not at the front lines of these kinds of questions, but not I know that if you sign up for a subscription now, you will get 3 access codes that you can give to other people that are good for a couple of weeks, that let them get started using Wolfram Language with Notebook Assistant. And that's probably particularly relevant, for example, to folks in education settings, universities and so on, where everybody has access to Wolfram Language. And this is a way of getting your colleagues or students or co-students, so to speak, to get started and to do things that to really get into using computational language and computational thinking. And I'm hoping that this really can broaden sort of the superpower that people who've used computational language for a long time have managed to get. I will also say another sort of logistical thing, which is that these Computational X Live, I've been sort of wondering about whether to make a series out of this and perhaps to mix very practical kind of writing of code with Notebook Assistant and so on, along with more thematic kinds of questions about what would computational X for some X be. Well, today's experience was, I thought this might be harder work than it turned out to be. I think I always find my pure question answer live streams, I find them very interesting. And also, frankly, for me, it's relaxing relative to my day job, so to speak. So I was not sure about this, but this thanks particularly to the Notebook Assistant and to our whole technology stack, this I thought worked fairly smoothly. So I'm up for doing more of these. People should send in their suggestions about topics and specific questions they want to ask, and I'll see if I can address them another time. We'll probably rejigger a bit my schedule of live streams if we're going to accommodate these Computational X live sessions. Again, I encourage you to give feedback on suggestions about what to do and even the structure of what these live streams should be like. I'm doing this for you guys, so let me know what you'd like. Thanks very much for joining me, and look forward to chatting with you another time. Bye for now.